Raton in the state of Florida, USA. Language, English. Tape 1. My name is Lisa Timoner. It's August 3rd, 1995. I'm in Boca Raton, Florida, interviewing survivor Alexander Frohlinger, survivor of the Shoah. Tape 1. Mr. Frohlinger, tell us when you were born and where you were born.
I was born, I believe, in 1924, according to my parents. But I did get my birth certificate through my congressman, McKinley from Connecticut. He searched it through, and it says it says on the birth certificate 1924 or 25 in Ladmovce, Czechoslovakia. As far as I could remember back as a childhood, we had a good life. I come a decent family. Matter of fact, our family, the Frohlinger family, is when that town was stayed back seven generations back to 1820. What I heard from my father, that our great-great-great-grandfather used to license the river, because we had a big river below the village, licensed for fishing. The fishery, he's the only one who had the license from the government of at that time was Austria-Hungarian Empire. And they handled down from generation to generation what I remember. Some of my granduncles was in a lime business. They used that town, the total population was only 180, which only about 14 or 15 Jewish families.
Was it near a big city?
It's a village.
Was it near anything?
The nearest city, which I called, it was 4,000 or 5,000 the population. And that was the county courthouse of Kralj-Chlumec. And that area was part of Austria-Hungarian Empire, but in 1918 they separate. Hungary was broken up. Certain part, when Czechoslovakia was formed in 1918, and some part of Hungary was belonged to Romania, some part they cut off for Yugoslavia, and was a small Hungarian kingdom.
And when you were born, it was Czechoslovakia?
It was Czechoslovakia. I was born, and my name was Alexander Frohlinger, and that's how I remember myself.
What was your father's name?
His name was, was it the nickname or his real name? It was Herman or Geza, but most of them they called him Geza, Geza, and that's how I remember him. He was a very good-natured person, good-hearted, well-liked, well-respected, and all I know, he used to tell us that he was in the First World War. He was disabled war veteran, and he was getting some pension too. And he had 3 licenses. During the winter, he was dealing with raw furs from the trappers, and also with poultry. This poultry used to have fed geese and ducks and chickens, etc., etc. And the town, how small it was able to manage to have a rabbi and a family, and a shaychet and a family, and a shamus. And there was a small town, imagine, was able to support these three families.
Did you say 15 Jewish families?
Right, but some of them, I would say, not, maybe a half or better than half was better position than some of them. My father, he was going, usually take winter time his product up to the closest, second largest city of Slovakia. They call it Košice. He had his own customers there, which they knew him and they trusted him with kosher killing, kosher poultry. And he used to take it up there every week. And back, he used to bring back certain fresh fruit and vegetables and what have you.
Did you have sisters and brothers?
We were three kids in the family, a brother, older brother, which he was 3 years older, and a younger sister. I think she was born in, imagine, in 1931, something like that, because she was taken away with my parents. But anyway, we had a very good life. I would say we were as good as any westernized country.
What was your home like? What kind of a house?
We had a nice one-family house, and we had usually I never saw in anybody's house to have, let's say, bananas, because this is bananas was a novelty. And my father was able to bring oranges or fresh carrots or bananas in the house, and even chestnuts, which was only in the south, down in the Mediterranean countries used to grow that, and they imported into Czechoslovakia, into this big largest city, to Košice, second largest city. And he had his friend, they were a very good friend, and they used to supply my father with this, and he used to bring it back home. And also with the fur, from the trappers, he used to be, he made a very good living, because I don't remember we ever got hungry or we was well dressed. And matter of fact, at one time, I would say I must be between 10, 11 or 12-year-old. I went up to this, he sent me up to school to Košice, and he introduced me to the famous, he was a famous cantor. This famous cantor's name was Vigoda. This Vigoda was imported to America. I don't know what year, but that year I went back to my hometown. Matter of fact, the most famous cantor was Jossele Rosenblatt. He was in the capital city of Slovakia. They call it Bratislava. He was the cantor there. And America imported him because he was so famous.
Were these cantors imported before the war?
Before the war. Mm-hmm. That's why this Vigoda left, and he came, and I understood. I never saw him in this country, but I heard he was in Washington in a synagogue. He was the cantor.
In your home life, was your family religious? Did you go to temple?
We were, I would say, we were
Observant?
not very religious, but we was traditional. We went to Sabbath Friday night in the synagogue, and Saturday we had Kiddush, Friday night and a Sabbath. And the town was the soil and the terrain was very good, so there was plenty of fruits and vegetables during the summer. And we used to go in a public school. The public school was the total population for children was to be. As a matter of fact, there was two schools. One was strictly for the Protestants, and the other one was strictly for Catholics, Jews, and Baptists. When in that class, which run by the state. And after school and afternoon, we used to come home around 3 o'clock, 2:30 or 3 o'clock. Then we went to, we had Hebrew classes, learn alphabet.
At home?
At home in the village, in the synagogue. They had a couple rooms there, and that's where we went and studied alphabet. And as far as I remember a little bit, I did learn Chumash a little bit, but for me, I didn't understand because the Hebrew teacher was speaking Yiddish. We didn't, in our hometown, in my town, at the time where I was a child, they didn't speak Yiddish. Only the adults understand that they spoke Yiddish. Only what they didn't want to, we should hear, we should understand, they talked Yiddish. But in that he was translated in Yiddish from Hebrew. So we didn't know what we was.
Not into Czechoslovakian.
In that city, it was an isolated little village. The total population 180 in the valley between the forests in that area, not far from the Hungarian border.
What did you like to do as a child? First of all, friends. Did you have a lot of friends?
I had friends. Matter of fact, this closest friend, my next door, he was a non-Jewish boy. He was very close friend with me till, I would say, till 1938. 37, 38, things starting to get change. My hometown was a organization for war preparation. They built 3 lines like they called, I don't know if you ever heard from the Maginot Line in Europe. They call it Festung, and that from cement and steel combined, let's say 3-foot thick walls into the ground and dirt all around that was not visible from the south side where the Hungarian border is, just in case they expected that there will be a war and this will be defense, and they expected, I guess, that the war will come through there because it was at that time in 1938 a bridge. They built a bridge. The Czech army built a bridge. And why I remember that, my father used to supply the Czech soldiers with things we used to bring back from Košice, and officers, and he brought them oranges and some fruit what doesn't grow around there.
So the Czechoslovakian army was worried about the Hungarians.
That's correct.
And the Germans.
You see what happened when in 1938 Hitler was negotiating with Chamberlain and Daladier. Chamberlain was the Prime Minister of England and Daladier of France. And he was also negotiating for Hungary to break up Czechoslovakia. Hitler was concerning about the Sudetenland for the German, Greater Germany, and Hungary wanted a part of Slovakia what belonged to, during the Ferenc Joseph time. That part they wanted back. And this way Hitler wanted an ally, Hungary for an ally, so he was negotiating for Hungary, and he won this negotiating from Chamberlain and Daladier.
Can I take you back to your childhood, though, because we're going ahead
Yes.
too fast? You enjoyed sports.
Right.
Tell us about that.
I was very good in soccer. Very good. I was soccer, not just only play soccer, but I was a good runner, fast. All kind of sports. Volleyball we used to play.
And who did you play with? Was it school-oriented?
Matter of fact, the volleyball we had like a Nora Republic. He was the head of the town who keeps the taxation and the book for that. He was Czech, and he used to organize a volleyball team with some of the Jewish boys, and we used to playing with him.
Just Jewish boys?
He was
or?
very friendly. No, most of his family and the Jewish boys, but it was combined maybe 8 or 10 people all together.
But did you have non-Jewish friends? Was there a good...
My Jewish friend, this next door neighbor,
Right.
his name was Omborik Lotzi. But something happened to him, because I tell you, this happened during the Hungarian time, or Hungarian occupation. But prior to 1938, around there he became a terrible, violent anti-Semite.
How old was he when he started to change like that?
I would say around 12, 13 years at that age. And he used to tell me about the Jews we don't like the Jews, and he became like an enemy of mine, and I didn't care too much about it, but I had no choice. I used to go over, or he used to come over to our house and played, and they used to grow in their properties on the field radishes, which I used to love radishes. So during the summer, he used to go, and I did something for them. They give me 1 or 2 big radishes, and I used to love it with the fresh bread and butter. Eat that. But in 1938, it was a different ballgame. Soon as the Hungarian army, not that just the Hungarian army, but they had a special group, they call it freedom fighters, lawlessness. Those people, they took out from the prison and from the penitentiary, they gave them a free hand. You go over a night before the Hungarian army marched into our area. They came into our hometown, and next time they beat up the Jews. They robbed the valuables. And
Was that considered a pogrom? Like a pogrom?
not yet. It was very bad taste for us Jews. They broke into the businesses. I remember it was such a panic between the Jewish community. It spread like wildfire from one town to another. That's what's going on.
And these freedom fighters, were they Hungarian?
Hungarians, mostly they were criminals. But they give them freedom because to come like a spies for the Hungarian army to find what's going on in the villages. And they developed that they had those pill boxes, whatever you call it, against in case there is an invasion. And then in my hometown, the Czech army used to hide in the big numbers in forest, because our hometown was a lot of forest in the mountain slope. This mountain slope you could reach, maybe with knuckler you could look into Hungary, because it wasn't that far. I would say 9 kilometer or 10 kilometer. But the Czech army, they did expect the Hungarian army will cross in that area because of the bridges. But it's changed because of the Munich conference, that Hitler win the without war that part of Czechoslovakia, so they didn't have to risk their lives.
Mm-hmm. But your sister and your brother, when you were growing up, you all went to the same school?
Yes, we went to the same school. Matter of fact, I used to get a kick out of my school teacher because, excuse me.
Sure.
My school teacher, he used to play the violin for us. He was limping with one leg. His name was I will come to me. He used to take out his shotgun during the summer and open the windows from the school just for kicks, or he liked to do it. He was a practice shooter. The the black crows he used to shot from the window. And we kids, we used to get a kick out of that. He used to shut them down because those black crows used to steal the baby chicks from the mother, from the chicken, and pick it up and fly away from it. But he used to shut up. So we used to watch that.
Was he Jewish?
No.
Did you see any anti-Semitism in school?
At that time in that place, no, but it was boiling. You could feel it's something changing in the air, that it's going to be something, because the town was very active with the bringing carloads of cement and steels around the town, and they was building these pillboxes for the front just in case.
So being Jewish felt vulnerable.
We were watching our stuff, and in the temple and the shul was talking that what we have a black dark cloud is coming, and we have to do something, and what we could do, but nobody would take a chance to leave the town because they own landowners, and what will happen to the lime business? What will happen to the land? We will lose everything, our livelihood. They was scared, afraid to take a chance to leave the town. But as the days went by, worse got worse. We heard this town what they did to the Jews, and that too. Then they start to draft.
What would you
Jews.
hear? Can you remember anything in?
Yes, that they're calling the Jews into forced labor camps, military age group, and they give them a yellow band, and they call it labor camps, and the Hungarians would restrict Jews from doing anything. They taking the license away from the Jews. You cannot all the livelihood. You had to go in hiding and doing black market. And we only used to sneak out from town around the coastline of the river, or at night or early in the morning, that none of the non-Jews should see us, because they reported us to the gendarmes. The gendarmes were worse than than the police in the cities.
These were the Hungarian gendarmes.
Right.
So this was after Hungary had control.
Hungary, they came in October 1938. And
you and your family started then dealing in black market to make a living?
When I was still in Košice, I remember the Hungarian, the Hungarian leader. His name was Horthy Miklós. He was like an emperor or something. He was the leader. He came through the main road with a white horse, sitting so proudly, and we waved with Hungarian flags, welcome him. We didn't know what's coming, but we was a fear between Jews that dark cloud will pass over our heads. And I went home. In school, he right away discharged me. I went home, and in school, my school teacher, he used to be a very friendly and close friend with my father. He was about that age in one of the schools. And he was nice till 1937, 38. And then he became violent. He especially picked on me, for example, and there was another cousin of mine. He was banging his head against the blackboard just because he didn't know the lessons or something. But he was more, you could tell, he was like angry at us.
Is this the teacher who was shooting out the window?
No, that was another one. That's too scary. I have some pictures from the school. I will like to show you how it was when in 32 kids in a class. And in that class, with this, it's my tongue, his name, with an M.
It's okay.
Will come to me. But he died, meantime, he died. This teacher, he died. He had two sons, and the two sons, his wife became a widow, and then the Czech government sent on a lady teacher, and we had a lady teacher, and we learned Czech in that class, and she was very fair to us, was very intelligent lady, and I was good. I had a beautiful voice. I was baritone voice. I was always the like top in the class for the singing. Even in the church, they needed in a choir. They took me in a reform, and I was singing in there.
And so the woman teacher, was that when the Czech government still had control?
Right. She stayed there until the Hungarian came in.
And when they came in,
automatically she had to leave. She had to leave the town.
Was she Jewish?
No.
Oh.
She was a Czech, and she went back to Czech territory because Slovakia was promised, Hitler promised Slovakia an independent state from the Czechs.
August 3rd, 1995, interviewing Alexander Frohlinger. Mr. Frohlinger, before we leave your childhood behind,
Right.
tell us about what happened with you.